I see captions,
And
so
make
that's a
sure
good
you
sign.
can hear me.
You can hear me. You can hear me. Yay! 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 So I have a napkin where I just jotted down what we're going to be talking about. So we have a napkin here. Okay. So on this napkin, last night I did go live and I talked about, is it Onija Robinson over in Pakistan? I've been having a lot of fun with the audio, a lot of fun with the audio. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how it's really important during these times that we are maneuvering the system that is capitalism and understand what capitalism is. It is no longer acceptable to be trying to be a part of this system and not know how to maneuver it, how to outflank it. And I'm going to get into some specific details. I've got at least 3 examples of people's intellectual property being stolen, exploited, so on and so forth. And we are also going to talk about the sale of TikTok and everything that y'all girl told y'all about the sale of TikTok is pretty much happening, right? Down to the creation of a sovereign wealth fund. And we've got a couple of other things that hopefully we will be able to get to those as well. So come on in. Let me know where you are watching from. My name is Tamira Hamilton. I have over 3 decades of sales, marketing, and leadership experience. I always come to you with 4 topics: marketing, mentoring, mindset, and monetization. And some of those overlap. And everything on my napkin today is in one of those 4 buckets. And if you don't believe me, you can stick around and you can hear for yourself. And then you can let me know if we, in fact, are talking about marketing, mindset, mentoring, and monetization. Those are my passions. That is what gets me up out of bed every single day. I talk to lots and lots of women business owners out there. And yeah, I know what you need. I got what you need. I got what you want. Okay. So Ms. Onija Robinson over in Pakistan. Like, first of all, I feel like it's a case study in manifesting and in knowing your worth and your self concept. Because this 2,000 or more, 5,000 or more, 20,000 or more, 50,000 or more. Now, first of all, I'm going to say that I am not here to poke fun of mental illness. I'm just here to do what I always do, which is alchemize, right? Find the good, find where we can take and learn lessons and apply them. And my 2 biggest takeaways so far have been, number one, the way the Pakistani people are treating her is reminiscent of the stories I was taught as a little girl in school, of course, about the pilgrims and how they were treated by the natives of this land. It's very reminiscent of that. Now, I know there are some other things at play, like cross-cultural, even religion, because I've heard that a lot of it has to do with the fact that she is Muslim. If she was not Muslim, she may not be being treated so well. I can neither confirm nor deny. All I can do is look at it and say, hey, the way they are treating her and doting on her is it's really sweet. And what I'm hearing, it's doing great things for them in their reputation and public relations, and people are forecasting that travel is going to be up to Pakistan in the next few years because of all of this. So the story goes, and the story is developing. Let me just say that the story is continually developing. And it started with, she's 33 years old. She's got children. So I don't know what age she started having them, but she's got children. And I know that a son has said that she has bipolar, and everyone is presuming that she's manic. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or any of that. So I'm not at liberty to diagnose this woman, right? So I cannot say for sure, but clearly by the look of them eyebrows and that makeup, there's definitely something going on. Okay. So the story is she's 33. She met some 19-year-old online, and she was using a Nicki Minaj filter, is what I have heard. She was using a Nicki Minaj filter, and so he didn't ask her to. She flew to Pakistan, found him, and his family forbade him from marrying her, and they like left their house and have abandoned their house. So she has been in Pakistan since October, and somehow she's holding press conferences like on the daily. She's got basically a bodyguard and protection and her own police officer, and it's just wild. It's absolutely wild. But there are some great sound bites. Thank you so much for the love. Go ahead, throw up that love, help me get on the For You page. But it's been wild. It's been very interesting. Okay, so she is over there causing a ruckus among us. Thank you, homegrown feminists. Thank you so much. Okay. So she's over there in Pakistan living like she literally is walking around like she owns the place, right? She's talking about she needs the money so she can fix Pakistan and tear it down and build it back up. I mean, it kind of sounds reminiscent of some other things that are happening domestically. It's kind of like parallel. Is giving parallel universe, to be honest with you. Is very much giving parallel universe, right? I saw someone say, what did they say? It was hilarious earlier. Oh my God. I cannot. Oh, they said it's kind of like woman in Brooklyn, but it's even better than that. The audacity of a black woman in Pakistan is going to be the new thing, right? So, she may have some mental illness, and I pray she gets the help and everything that she needs. But in the meantime, I do think there are some serious things that we can take from it. Like I made a video meme and said, over the sound where she's talking about she's not talking. I'm not talking unless you're giving me land and 2,000 or more every week. You hear me? Right. And so I apply that to the situation of, I don't get it so much anymore because the way I've marketed and positioned myself, but I've, made it parallel to synonymous with when somebody comes to you as a business service provider and they want to offer you trade or to do a trade, or they want you to work for free for exposure, right? And how Mighty Woodward says, unfortunately, I'm not in a position to take any unpaid work to help you make money at this time. Thank you for thinking of me though, right? So that video is doing, a little well. I mean, a couple of hundred views so far in getting the likes. So we'll see what happens with that. If it goes viral, great. If it doesn't, I spoke my piece, right? So there are parallels. There are things that you can draw from that. And it's a great time to be using some of those sound bites, right? And I don't really do a whole lot where I like get into character, but I did the black wrap thing around and put on the bright pink lipstick. So you may have seen some of those videos. Okay. So I just think there's a lot to learn from that, right? Like you got to lose the fear. You got to be bold. You got to ask for what you want and then some, right? Even if you are not building a business, I always tell people when you start a new job, you got to negotiate. You got to ask for what you want up front. You got to get it coming in because you may never be able to recoup it later on. I learned from that mistake in my first job out of college. I wanted to negotiate. That's just part of my personality, but I didn't know how to and didn't have the resources to ask for what I want. But jobs after that, you best believe I asked, right? Like I even negotiated, extra time off. I had more paid time off on a job. I had them pay for my medical benefits for me and my two children for 6 months on a job. So the closed mouth does not get fed, right? So, and I've seen other creators saying that same thing. Like if I've learned nothing from Onaji Robinson, it is that a closed mouth does not get fed. You have to ask for what it is that you want, and you have to be bold enough in your asking that you absolutely are delusional to believe that you are worthy and that you will get it. Because this woman is literally walking around Pakistan like she owns it, and I love that for her. And I would love to see more of us doing that as we are walking in our purpose, walking in our destiny, and our gifts are making room for us. Do not be shy. Boldly declare what it is that you want. because ask and it shall be given, knock and the door shall open, right? Boldly declare. This is, remember what I told y'all back in December. This is not the time to be pleasing or palatable. It's not, because I might get a little preachy here, but just hang on. Okay, this whole DEI and meritocracy is going to come tumbling down on them. There are already, unfortunately and sadly, planes falling from the sky. They need us, and don't you ever forget that. And I'll never forget, I had a Black man as a boss who told me that, and he wasn't my boss at the time. He was mentoring me, and he told me about my boss that I had, and told me some things confidentially, and he's like, why are you looking like that? You have nothing to worry about. He needs you. You are the best one that he has. You are the best manager that he has, right? So he is fighting for his position. He needs you. In fact, the entire market needs you. You've given more to the market than any other manager out here. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Hell yeah. Like that sound on the clock app, right? So you have to remember, at the end of the day, they need us. We literally make this world go round. We are the most educated demographic. We are creating more small businesses than anyone else, and they can try and push us out. It is going to come tumbling down on them, because you cannot put unqualified people in positions and expect that you are not, you go to the circus, you can expect to see clowns, pretty much. Okay, so don't forget that. And I think Onaji Robinson is a great reminder of just how great we are, and that we need to be a little more delusional. We need to be a little bit more bold in our asking, right? We need to be a little bit more bold in our asking, because that's going to take me to, it's not second on my list. Oh, it is second on my list, right? Is protecting, we got to get back to gatekeeping. This is another thing I told y'all. We need to gatekeep. This is a season of protection. I started my protection strategies within a week of the election, because I knew what was coming, right? We knew what the risks were. We knew the 92%. We knew what was up, right? So you got to remember, this is capitalism. We are in a capitalistic society, right? There are people who feel entitled to your labor. There are people who feel entitled to your concepts and your ideas. It is up to you to protect them, and you need to gatekeep them. I have been telling y'all for years, this whole no gatekeeping is bullshit. I've been telling y'all that for years. It is complete and utter BS. The people telling you no gatekeeping do gatekeeping the most and the best. They don't want you to gatekeep so that they can go and run to the PTO office, or whatever it is, the patent and trademark office, and trademark your ideas and your concepts and your work that you have not trademarked and patented. Ooh, y'all, I'm getting hot. I'm heating up over here. Okay, so we've got three different examples, right? You've got Aaron Parnas. You know who Aaron Parnas is? He's the breaking news guy that everyone is wondering and worrying if he sleeps or not, right? Because someone said he will be in the bed, he will be on a plane. Whenever breaking news comes out, he is running to be the first to tell you, to keep you informed. Well, he has massive following on the Clock app, and now he has his Substack. But guess what he never did? He never secured AaronParnas.com. In fact, someone approached him in November to buy it from them, because they saw, there's a lesson here. They had a vision for what he was doing. They saw where he was going. They saw the value of what he does, and they went and scooped up his first name and last name.com and then offered to sell it back to him. This is capitalism. Let me find that post. And I'm going to have to open a window too. There we go. Get some air. Pleasing or palatable? Post. Okay. So here's the entire post. I'm going to read it to you. Okay. Authored by me. Okay. I'm going to sit beside you, hold your hand, and let you feel the burn of truth when I say this. If you want to make it out alive in these next 4 years, you'll need to let go of concepts like good versus bad, good versus evil, moral versus immoral, fair or unfair. Y'all got to understand this is capitalism, right? Capitalism does not understand or respect any of those concepts. Capitalism is fueled by being a highly litigious society. That's why things like Legal Shield and what's the other one exist, because we live in a highly litigious society, okay? And that's why we have insurances and all of that stuff. And yes, even equity. It's like I forewarned y'all about all of this, right? That went out the door a long time ago. And honestly, they are constructs of the matrix. They are things that are used to control you and limit your growth. Understand that. This ain't about morality or fairness. This is about stepping into the depths of your power, the kind they warned you about, the kind that doesn't ask for permission or get validation. I used to live by this saying, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission. Okay? It is time to get back to that. This is, listen, dark feminine rules. Okay? The dark feminine rules. Okay? It's about feminine stoicism, the quiet strength to endure, adapt, and strike when necessary without losing yourself in the noise. This is your villain era. Not because you're evil, but because you stopped playing by rules that never served you. They don't even follow their own rules, so why should you bind yourself to a code meant to keep you small? Dark feminine energy is not about chaos. It is about control. It's about holding your ground with elegance. It's time to pull my readers out because my poor eyes is tired. Okay. Oh, I could also just blow the screen up, but I look cute with the glasses on. So, dark feminine energy is not about chaos. It's about control. It's about holding your ground with elegance, letting the shadows do the work they've been begging to do, and understanding that survival is an active decision, not a passive hope. Shadow work isn't pretty, but it's necessary. It's facing the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide, the rage, the grief, the ambition, and letting them become your allies instead of your chains. This is not the time to be palatable or pleasing. This is the time to move with intention, unapologetically, and let the world know that you are not to be underestimated. The rules are irrelevant. The narrative is yours to rewrite. Respectability politics is for suckers. Okay, I did use ChatGPT because there's way too many M dashes in there, so I'm gonna have it edit that shit out. But I actually wrote it. I just had it proofread it for me, and it added them M dashes. So we're gonna get that out of there. Okay, so listen. You've got to protect your intellectual property, and that includes your ideas. Stop running to the apps, to the social medias with your ideas. I know we want to go viral, but sometimes it's better to go a little less viral and protect yourself, because you've got the guy who came up with the, instead of MAGA, Maha, which is Mexicans ain't what is it? Mexicans, he said, turn MAGA into Mexicans ain't going nowhere, right? And now there are people trying to not only trademark that, but trademark Mexicans aren't going anywhere. So, you cannot just be running. There are people, there are monitoring spirits. I know y'all hear me talking a lot about monitoring spirits. There are monitoring spirits watching you. There are monitoring spirits watching all of us for the opportunity to strike and exploit us. And that is why y'all have got to learn to gatekeep. And y'all have got to learn that there are just some things that should not be spoken of on these apps. And honestly, at this time, even on your phone via text message, you have got to know that. They are in departments, civilians who don't even have clearance are in departments and locking out members of Congress and stealing data right in front of our faces. And y'all want to go run and put all your business on these apps. Don't say I didn't warn you. Okay? Same with Hillman Talk University. First of all, y'all got to stop assuming, somebody's identity by a first or last name. Because y'all assumed, that the people trying to, because there were two different people that have filed for trademarks on Hillman Talk University in different respects in that. And one of them's last name was Giles. And so everyone, whoever was running that story, ran that whole thing, assumed that it was a Caucasian woman doing it, when in fact it was an African American couple. And then, even before even knowing all of that, you were running with the Khadijah Moss girl was Caucasian. And I'm sitting here like, when have you ever met a Caucasian Khadijah? Because I mean, it could happen, but because I've met, Caucasian Tashas before. They do exist. I don't know that I've ever met a Caucasian Keisha, but, predictability, if I were a betting woman, I would bet in most cases, and, may the odds be ever in your favor, that somebody named Khadijah Moss was probably not Caucasian. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And then there are those who, do convert to the Nation of Islam and Muslim for their Black husbands. That does happen. But in fact, I was right. And in fact, Khadijah Moss is Black, right? And so it's not just people who don't look like you that are here to exploit you. This is capitalism. This is what capitalism does. And I am not anti-capitalism. I'm anti-hyper-capitalism. I'm anti-capitalism is going to save us. Because capitalism will eat you up and spit you out. The mustache man, they, just like Black Wall Street, they stripped people of their property. They took their property. They stole it all from them. So hyper-capitalism is not going to save you if, in the very absolute worst case scenario. So I don't know why we think that. And most of the people screaming that are people who are actually exploiting you. That's just my opinion. Okay. So you got to know that you've got to protect your ideas. You've got to protect, even in masterminds, I don't always tell everything. You got to keep some for yourself, right? I talked about that on live last night, one of the 48 Law of Power, and the one where they talk about everyone doesn't need to know what you think. Say less than necessary. Yeah. Y'all talk too much. Y'all talk entirely too much. Say less than necessary. Law 4, always say less than necessary. Okay. The less you say, the more intimidating and powerful you are. Always say less than necessary. When you do speak, make it vague and ambiguous, leaving the meaning to others to interpret. They'll get frustrated and obsessed, or they just draw their own conclusions. And they can't hold you to it because you never actually said it, right? And so you can look that up. I'm at a page that talks about principles of the law. You got to protect yourself. This is capitalism. Don't be out here just running and telling everybody all your business, all your ideas, until you've secured the bag. That's what that phrase literally means. You got to secure the bag, right? You got to get your trademarks, you got to get your patents and all of that. I talked about this last night. I remember seeing a documentary on Prime Video years ago about and all of that. I talked about this last night. I remember seeing a documentary on Prime Video years ago about there are people out there that's all they do is they're patent trolls. They create patents that are very vague and ambiguous, and then they go sue people. And some people and their companies end up getting destroyed. And these people do not care because what capitalism is not a respecter of persons. It's not a respecter of principles like good, bad, evil, equity, equitable, equal, fair. Capitalism does not care about that. I learned that in undergrad, that the law does not care about emotions. And the sooner we learn that, like they knew that when they were fighting for our civil rights. They didn't, it wasn't, we didn't win our civil rights based on emotion, right? Trying to argue your case in court with your emotion just doesn't really work, especially when it comes to the legal environment of business. It's not about your emotions, it's about what you can prove in a court of law. It's about how you structure and how you trademark and protect things out the gates. And this is the time that we are in. Okay. You have to understand capitalism, your place and your role in capitalism. The wealthiest people are truly the wealthiest people in capitalism because they have teams of lawyers. You have to know that. It's important to know and understand that. It's very important to know and understand that. I've told y'all before, when I was interning right out of college, working on Glade, they told us they were in court pretty much every day because it's a litigious society. People are always looking to sue. People are all, I mean, think about, music artists who've been sued because somebody says they stole their lyrics or this or that. And it's not always true, right? It's not always true. We always want to believe the little guy. Well, sometimes the little guy is just trying to capitalize and monopolize and steal too, right? It's insane. So you gotta protect yourself. Okay. So one of the things that I would definitely recommend that you do is that you talk to me and you check out my Luminary Path 6-week intensive, right? Because this is not a time to be in business by yourself, right? I'm not asking for shares of your business or anything like that, but this is not a time to be in business for yourself. You need to have on your team someone like me. You need to have a community that you can go to that is about scaling, that is about having a breakthrough, right? That is what you need to be a part of right now. I was on the phone with a business owner earlier today and she had brought up something and I was like, "Oh, you just blah blah blah." She was like, "Oh, okay, okay, okay. 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 Let me look at your link and yeah, right." And I'm not saying what we talked about because I'm not putting all my ideas out here. And even when I'm in front of someone pitching them or who wants to do business with me, I don't give them everything. I give them hopefully just enough to have them marinate and create the desire to do business with me. But you can't give them everything because you risk them taking everything that you've done to someone else. That's why I do not write marketing plans for free. And that's what some of y'all literally think y'all supposed to be able to come to me for, is for me to work for you on a trial basis. And then you decide if you're going to work for me or not. Meanwhile, you're out shopping what I've put together and taking it to someone who doesn't have to do the work of coming up with it. They just have to execute. And so they charge a lot less. And that's why I don't do that for free. And I never will. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think you bring to the table, how great you think you are, because I think I'm just as great, if not greater. I'm a boss at what I do, and you pay me. Okay? Like real serious business here, real talk, right? It's called a funded proposal, right? I'm not creating proposals, not very detailed ones for free. Nope. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because again, there are snakes, there are sharks in the water that want you to do the work and then they want to find some sort of way to not pay you or pay you less. And it doesn't work that way. They wouldn't do it to other people, but they think they can do it to you because of how you look, or because you're a woman, or because whatever. And it ain't going down like that over here. So yeah, funded proposal. Funded proposal. Started at 500, then 750, and now they're currently 1250. And I probably should take them up because I haven't taken them up in a while. Funded proposal. You got to make people respect you. You got to make people know that your time is valuable and that they cannot be wasting your time. Right? And that's why the luminary path ain't for everyone. It simply is not for everyone. There are people who won't even get back to me, and that's fine. I'm not hunting them down for it. I'm not hunting them down for it, because that tells me they already know they're not going to do the work. And that is why I priced it the way that I priced it. And honestly, it still should be priced even higher. But the first people that joined, they saw the value and they jumped on it right away. They jumped on it right away because they knew it was a deal to work with me for 6 months. Right? And to the question, do you offer any guarantees? A lot of the guarantees that y'all are offered are BS. They're complete BS. And I'm sad that you can't see through it. But a lot of the offers that you receive that have guarantees are trash. For example, you will have an Amazon bestseller within a week. It means absolutely nothing. And in fact, Amazon is actually taking that away. They don't even want that sticker on books in that anymore, because people were abusing the system. And that is part of capitalism. If too many people can easily get an Amazon bestseller, that means that it's time to raise the bar to move the goalposts. And that's what capitalism does. It constantly moves the goalposts. I'm not socialist. I'm not anti-capitalist. I'm just telling you what capitalism is. It's time to have a very real conversation and understanding around what exactly capitalism is and your role and your place within the capitalistic society, which is backed by white supremacy and the patriarchy. You got to understand that. You have to understand it. And you have to also understand that even though these things have been in place for centuries, we still had Madam C.J. Walker. We still had the other woman, I can't even think of her name, that they say Madam C.J. Walker or whatever stole stuff from or whatever, right? That there were women out there who still defied the odds and still made it happen. But it's because they understood capitalism and they played the game. And that's why whether she stole it or not, I don't judge, because the rules are really only in place to hold you captive, to hold you in position. And the sooner you learn that and appreciate that and move with that knowledge in hand, and embrace your dark feminine and understand this is your villain era, it is not the time to be palatable or pleasing. It is not the time to be palatable or pleasing. You have to understand that and move with intention. It is time to learn to play chess, not checkers. And if you want to learn how to do that, I would suggest hitting me up to learn more about the luminary path. We meet again next Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Be there or be square. I will send you the info. You can learn more about it, because this is not the time to be in business for yourself. And if you are ingrained and have been raised to be pleasing and palatable, you need to tap into someone else's dark feminine energy and villain era. And I can be that person for you. Okay. I'm more than willing to be the think tank. You'd be amazed at some of the people that I've been the think tank behind their strategy and their branding and their social media presence and marketing. That's why it's weird to me when y'all come to me thinking I'm going to do your social media for 30 days for $100 a month. On what planet do we take this big old brain of mine and reduce it to that? Like, seriously, on what planet? Like, first of all, when I'm on Zoom or video, I love looking at myself. Now, I don't personally care for my voice, but there are plenty of people that I have heard from within my family and outside that say they could listen to me for days on end. So here we are. It's not just about social media posting. There's so much more behind it, and to be successful with it, and knowing when this happens, you need to do this. No, and knowing and understanding, like, that's the first thing in the luminary path, is understanding and revisiting your mission, your vision, your why, creating your daily method of operation, right? Knowing what your key performance indicators are. How are you going to measure your success? Because y'all often want to jump right to sales and revenue, and that's what you're looking for as far as a guarantee from someone like me, when you really should be looking at something else. The leading indicators. There are leading indicators, and yes, businesses pay to move the needle on those things. Okay. So part of the luminary path is I have these health checklists that I created that say, if your depending on the KPI, if this particular KPI, if you've set a goal and you have not hit that goal, then here's what you do. If you have hit that goal, here's what you do. Some of the people in Pin Profits Mastery and who've done strategy sessions with me have my Pinterest health checklist with KPIs and what to do in what case. That is what you pay me for versus someone else, because they don't have that, because it's proprietary to Tamira S. Hamilton. And that is why when you buy my courses, the first thing you see is a disclosure that you can't take any piece of my course, reuse it, redistribute it, resell it, because it is mine. And I will fight you about mine. Okay? That is why all of my PDFs have the copyright notice in there along with other disclosures, because I come from the world of financial services. I come from the world of financial services. So I understand disclosures and disclaimers and things like that and their importance. And it's just my personality. I told you I've been wired like this since I was a little kid. I was trademarking or putting the copyright little thing on my book reports in the 3rd and 4th grade, because that's just Tamira. That's how Tamira is. Okay. Reminds me of my little grandbaby girl. Oh, I love that girl. That is my baby. That's my heart. But we're very specific. We're very particular. So the luminary path, it's a monthly pay of $397, or you can pay in full and save 20% and pay $2,000. But even when you pay in full, you can still use Klarna, and Klarna may give you longer term financing than 6 months because of the amount. And that's going to be dependent. I can't make any guarantee. I never even know when they offer that to someone unless the person happens to tell me. But I do know that people have been offered 6-month financing instead of 4 payments for things that were for like $397, $497, because they've told me. So I can only imagine if you have the data to back it up, whatever they look at to quote unquote underwrite, that what they may offer for 2000. So I have my payment plan, my subscription at $397, but you could pay in full, save the 60%, and then get financing and payment plans, because it's not really financing. I don't think they charge interest through Klarna. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so we've talked about the woman in Pakistan. We've talked about intellectual property. We've talked about those things. Now let's talk about the TikTok sale, because I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit here. Okay. If you ever wonder why I might look flirty on videos, it's because I'm flirting with myself on video, just so we're all clear. Right? Sometimes I'm just feeling myself. I do like to look at myself. I always have. So there we go. Okay. So Couple things. Number one, I believe it was yesterday. I'm in such a time suck. I have no idea what daytime of any of that anymore, because it's just all happening way too fast and there's a lot coming at us. And yes, I regulate my nervous system. Yes, I regulate my emotions, but it's still a lot. We have to admit that it is a lot. Okay, gloss check. Gotta keep them lips glossed. Okay. So either yesterday or the day before, there was an executive order to establish a sovereign wealth fund. And I saw an influencer who, I think she was just clickbaiting y'all, but she has a very, she makes a lot of money. She has a substantial following and that. And she also had a meltdown today too, by the way. Not really like a meltdown, but she really told y'all, and she wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong. So anyway, she, and others alluded to maybe Facebook bought TikTok, and I'm sitting there telling y'all, no, they didn't, right? And then there were people talking about Oracle. And the only thing I had to say about that was when I ran it through ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to look at it actuarially, because again, that's my personality, it's my education, that's my experience, to look at it actuarially. And ChatGPT said, for given everything that we know, and I had to feed it some of the information, like about the rules in China as far as selling it to a foreign company and having to strip off the algorithm, like the fact that the US law says that they have to delete the code and how that would take 3 years, right? And so, taking all of these things into account, who would most likely be able to complete a rush sale of TikTok? Because we already had established, because I like using Chat GPT. It's not that I don't know the information. I like using Chat GPT as a nonpartisan, a non-invested, a non-emotional third party. Okay. So y'all can't accuse me of those things, right? So Chat GPT already told y'all what I knew, that it would take at least, at bare minimum, 2 years for a company the size of Facebook to acquire TikTok. Why? Number one, because of antitrust. Really, number zero, because Facebook is a publicly traded company. So they can't just go out here buying TikTok in secret and their shareholders not know it. By the way, Target's shareholders, who told them to do away with DEI, are now suing Target because they did away with DEI and they didn't know, that they claimed that Target didn't tell them they would lose money for it. Capitalism. We live in a litigious society backed by white supremacy and patriarchy. Y'all gotta know y'all role and y'all place within it. Okay? You gotta know your role and your place within it, right? So ChatGPT had already told us that it would be at minimum 2 years. And then we even had ChatGPT go through and look at when T-Mobile and Sprint merged. And that took at least, I think exactly 23 months on paper, but probably longer than that, because we don't know how long they were in negotiations. So at least 23 months or more. Okay. So we know these things. And then I did the duet with y'all's president within his first day or two in office, in the Oval Office, worried about, did Biden do interviews like this? And he told y'all, I said, he tells y'all what he's going to do, and then he does it. And he kept saying, it's worth nothing if I don't sign it. If I sign it, then it's worth about 500 billion to $1 trillion. Now, on paper, the valuation is about 100 billion, but he's saying 500 billion to $1 trillion, right? Now, never anywhere did he say anything about, the US government owning it in order to reduce the debt. My own daughter got that from somewhere. I don't know. But I know that's been floating around, that some of y'all think that he's doing it to reduce the national debt. Historically, though, Historically, again, if I were a betting woman, I would say it's more so for him and his cronies to somehow benefit from it at US taxpayer expense. And to be honest with you, if you actually go back and you listen to that interview, he does not expect the US government to shell out 1 penny for the clock app. If you go back and you listen to it, he said he's willing to get rid of the ban in order in lieu of the US government having a 50% owner stake or 50%, wasn't quite clear, either 50% ownership or 50% of the profits, which I think maybe, kind of are the same thing. And then a day or two ago, he established, he created an executive order because he has to go through Congress. Y'all do know that. He has to go through Congress in order to establish this sovereign wealth fund, but he's taking the first steps to move toward that. So I know y'all like to tussle, but I come with receipts. I told y'all exactly what was going to happen. And so now your news aggregators are coming and telling you that TikTok is not secure. It's not secure. Not secure. Using my Cardi B, it's not secure. Okay. Meaning that TikTok may very well still likely be and end up being banned, because a day or two after being reinstalled as chief dictator, homeboy said what he said. But then over the weekend moved to put 10% tariffs on China. And they really didn't like that a whole lot. And so now they're stalling in negotiations, because word on the block is Microsoft, which was one of the companies that ChatGPT said actuarially would be in the position to complete a rush sale of TikTok. And that was without considering the fact that the data still, the code would have to be deleted, and that would take 3 years. So the odds are not in the favor of TikTok being around within a few months. I'm just telling y'all that. If I was a betting woman, I don't think a deal is going to happen or go through. Personally, professionally, I don't want it to go away. But what did we say about our dark feminine? Our dark feminine does not live in the land of emotion, right? You have to still be grounded in reality. Even when you're delusional and manifesting, you still have to be grounded in reality. Just so we're all clear. So here's what you can do. Here's what you need to be doing. You need to be building your email list. You need to be moving people to other platforms. You need to be cross posting your content. You need to own your masters. Bottom line, you need to join the Luminary path, because we are not in a season of learning to build business for free anymore. That time has come and passed, baby doll. It is pay to play across the board. The algorithms are changing. In fact, they're doing something with them today, because on both TikTok and Facebook, I am seeing on Facebook, I saw a post dated the end of November 2024. I have been seeing late 2024 content on the Clock app also. So they're shuffling things and keeping us from seeing certain types of content. And they are distracting us with the American woman in Pakistan. Just so y'all know, that is a huge distraction right now. There's something they don't want us to hear, see, or know. So you got to go dig for it, and you got to find that. And you got to do your emotional regulation routine every day, your nervous system regulation routine each and every day. You've got to journal, you've got to be praying, you've got to be meditating. I'm not talking about that stuff on TikTok. I don't get all off into all that stuff. I know the basics. I grew up with, if you went to my grandparents' house at 6 a.m., they were up. They had on WRJN, the news radio station, and they often had their Bibles open, their concordances, the commentary book from Sunday school. They were constantly staying prayed up, studied up in the Word. That's what I grew up with. Guess what I do in the early hours of the morning every day? Because I learned it from James and Leela. My dad's mom, same thing when she was not working, because she worked a lot. So, like on Sundays, on weekends when she didn't work, I kept up with her work schedule so I knew when I could stay the night with her. You've got to be reading, you've got to stay studied, and not just biblically, not just spiritually, but you need to be reading up. Like, that's my whole thing with the Hillman Talk University. We don't need to be studying African American studies right now. We need to be studying stocks. We need to be studying crypto. We need to be studying energy. We need to be studying commodities. We need to be studying digital marketing. We need to be learning networking. We need to be, because this whole no new friends thing is keeping some of y'all broke. We need to be, learning soft skills like communication skills, healthy confrontation. That's where our value is. We need to be teaching our children home economics. We need to be learning herbalism. We need to be learning gardening. All of this is in my content. My content is out there. I've been telling y'all for months, right? If they take away the internet, if the world goes black, I know exactly how I'm going to make money. I know exactly where my value is and what I'm going to do. Am I telling you no because I'm gatekeeping? Because I ain't stupid. No estás estúpida, right? But skills, you need to be upping your skills. You don't need education right now, especially African American studies. And I love Dr. Barlow. I do. But some of y'all are like basically taking on a 20 credit load right now. Baby doll, you need to be working on your money. You need to be working on your money. Because one thing, I am for education, but going and getting education and acquiring debt for something that is not going to be marketable or make you money was just never in the cards for me. And I told my children, if that's the route you want to go, if you want to be an art major, then you need to put a business admin behind it. If you want to study theater or whatever, put a business admin behind it. I don't care what it is. Put a business admin behind it, including biology. Put a business admin behind it. Minor in business admin. You can tell me why in the comments. Like, do y'all not realize? Thank God DeepSeek came out, because they already got people paying $200 a month. And I told y'all then, don't run and pay $200 for Chat GPT. Because I went to Chat GPT and asked it, and Chat GPT said most people do not need to upgrade to the $200 a month. But hypercapitalism had people running to do it because it wasn't going to make your business automatically be that much more successful, if any. It was just bragging rights. It was no different than having a Birkin or a Lambo. But I asked Chat GPT, and for most solopreneur and small business owners, there was absolutely zero reason to upgrade to the 200. And then DeepSeek comes out, and DeepSeek performs better at like 1/30th of the cost or something like that. Capitalism, 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 capitalism. Now, if I were you, if there were a coach and a mastermind and accountability group that I would bet on, it would be Tamira Hamilton in the Luminary path. Number one, I ain't even charging you with other people who are charlatans and scamming you are charging you. I'll never say who, and there's more than one. There are plenty to choose from. And no, I'm not offering a guarantee because I have zero control over whether you're going to do the work or not. I have absolutely no control over whether you're going to do the work or not. I have no control over your talents, your totality, any of that. What I can guarantee you is that I'm going to deliver you everything that I've outlined when you go to the LINK. That's all I can guarantee you, right? Y'all got to stop looking for guarantees. That is the biggest grift. You want me to set up a sales funnel for you, but you think I'm supposed to guarantee that that sales funnel is supposed to give you a certain conversion rate. First of all, you don't have the data. You don't even have a high converting offer to make that kind of demand for a guarantee. Yeah, I said it. You don't even have a high converting offer. Same with Facebook ads. That's why I don't run Facebook ads for 99.9% of the people who come to me and want help with Facebook ads, because you don't have a high converting offer. Because what do you need to make money online, boys and girls? A high converting offer and traffic. I can run all the traffic I want to an offer. If it's not high converting, if it's not proven, it ain't gonna convert. And by the way, to get to that high converting offer takes a lot of testing. It takes a lot of trial and error. You don't start business looking for a sure thing. Business is not a sure thing. Marketing and advertising and sales are not sure things. It is testing, it is modifying, adjusting, and controlling. It is systems, it is data collection. Y'all want proof of performance and results before you have the data. And that's just a setup. And I'm not going to be the one to get ganked like that, to have my reputation on the line like that, because you have unreasonable expectations. Some of y'all, I watch y'all, I hear y'all on masterminds and various calls. Y'all literally talk in circles. Some of y'all are not really even business owners. Y'all need to stop trying to run a business and go get a job or be a housewife or do whatever, because y'all have a lot, I mean, like a lot of hangups and really bad thoughts, like a lot. Like not wanting to pay merchant fees for processing the money. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't negotiate or shop around, but it's a part of doing business in 2025. Like, my God, people, like, seriously, I wish I would wait for a wire transfer. I mean, now it's got to be a significant amount of money, then I'll happily take it. But for $2,000 for a wire transfer or electronic check, make it easy for people to do business with you. And y'all need to fire some of these old fashioned, I'm going to say it, boomer coaches. And y'all need to get with somebody who has a vision and can see where things not only are, but where is the puck going to be? Because they are where the puck was 30 years ago, and it's wild. And the only reason they get results is because they're bullies. Ooh, I said it. I said it. It's probably about time for me to be getting off of here because I'm saying too much again. Right? Since we're talking, we might as well talk about those who are really tech people and they're not strategists. They're really ops girlies, but they're not strategists. But don't come to me expecting me to give you a guarantee and hold me accountable for what the last person didn't do. That's you. You need to hold yourself accountable for not having the proper discernment, for not having proper expectations. I'm not reducing my price. I'm not reducing my value. Because the last person failed to deliver. That is not my problem. That's just not my problem. Right? I'm always going to keep, I'm not going to say yes and just say anything to, because I value my merchant account too much. I have a low to no, I don't even remember the last time. It was probably 2018 that I had, and that was when I was doing trainings across the country, that I had a dispute. I've had maybe two of them, only one that I can recall, but somehow I feel like there might have been a second one. And this, oh, there was a second one. And she said she really didn't dispute it, but somehow it was disputed, and I won both of them. I've never lost a dispute. Never. And I don't get a lot of them. I don't even get a lot of requests for refunds. Because if I would rather pay somebody to go away than they become a headache. I'm gonna just say that. But I don't just offer that up. They gotta work for it. Work, 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 work. Okay. Y'all need to work with someone who actually is a business person, who actually thinks like a business person. Because I've found in the last few weeks, a lot of y'all high profile coaches don't actually know business. And I'm not knocking anybody, and I don't think I'm better than anyone when I say this, but you know, I know some people are high school dropouts and they've been a great success, even more successful than me in some respects, without having, completed high school. But the timeline is shifting. The timeline is for people like me right now, because this is a capitalism society. And one thing that I learned, not only in my education, but in my corporate experience, is capitalism. I experienced capitalism, bird's eye view, day in and day out for years, for over 22 years. And a lot of y'all coaches are not business. They don't know business like that. I'm not saying they don't know business at all, because clearly, and they're very successful. But there's been a lot of fear mongering and a lot of misinformation that have come from people who've been miseducated or not educated at all. We'll just keep it real with you. So it's time to shuffle the deck and look at who it is that you work with. Being a photographer, being, what are some of the other ones? Being a makeup artist, being a real estate agent who happen to be good at real estate marketing, who happen to be good at photographer marketing, who happen to be good at beauty marketing. And some might say that applies to me, but understand that I was a marketer first, that I was formally educated and came to beauty. And what made me a successful beauty marketer was over 22 years of sales, marketing, and leadership experience. That's what makes me different. That's the difference, right? Your ops girlies, your girlies who really oversaw a pot of people in a call center, who, and again, I'm not talking about anybody, I'm not better than them, who never really were involved in marketing strategy, who never really were involved in marketing. Yeah, the department might, yeah, no, I'm not even going to get into all that. But they're ops girlies. And I told you how you can spot them. All they do is tell you what you can't do. And they get a hard on telling you what you can't do. Because ops girlies are very much rigid and about control. Because there's marketing operations and there's marketing strategy. They're not one and the same. Your software as a service person, highly, highly, highly unlikely that they're a marketing strategy and really good at marketing. They're really good at stealing other people's stuff. They're really good at regurgitating what they've heard, what they've read. They're really good at that, but they don't really have experience in it. They don't have practical knowledge. They've not applied it. Their time is up. Their time is up. So, anywho, that's what I had for tonight. Hillman Talk University is a beautiful idea, but I would not be spending the bulk of my free time learning some of the stuff that is on there. And I love Dr. Barlow, and I'm following her in her class. But is it my priority? No. No. Because now is the time to be stacking that cash, making and stacking that cash, creating digital products. I've got several I need to make. But I've got plenty out there. Y'all need to be getting the Luminary Path. Y'all need to be getting Pin Profits Mastery. If you've been creating content over on TikTok and if you're a TikTok affiliate, you need to be on Pinterest. Because Pinterest is shoppable video. YouTube shoppable video is coming. I don't think TikTok is going to be here in 6 months, 4 months, even 3 months. We've got about 2 months left with TikTok. Because how are you going to want to make a deal and get them to lax up and allow it to be sold, but then try to hit them with a 10% tariff? I told y'all, certain cultures don't play the games that people over here try to play. I told y'all that them Chinese people, and I'm not saying that like you people, I'm not saying that. I'm like saying, because that's where I come from, that's how we talk. Them people, the people, right? It's actually being said with affection. I told y'all they are not to be played with. I'm saying that with respect. They are not to be played with. They not playing them games. They are not playing those games at all. They are not here for that. They don't take stuff like that lightly. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm saying it's improbable that TikTok is going to be sold. And the more time goes on, and I've been saying it ever since it came back. I've been telling y'all I wouldn't get too comfortable. I don't think it's going to be here. But I'm used to it. Even people in my own family like to act like they don't hear me, try to act like, try to buck because it's their ego and all of that. So I'm used to it. And luckily for y'all, I'm not so much an I told you so person, even though I've been saying it tonight. But it's just more so that you listen and you begin to prepare, because now is the time to be building your email list, your SMS list. Now is the time to be omnipresent and diversifying your platforms. Now is the time to learn and apply module 6 from Pin Profits Mastery, which is strictly repurpose, reshare, and redistribute. And I get it because I'm even behind on that strategy myself. But I own my masters. I wasn't on that Friday and that Saturday before the night of the 18th and the 19th of January trying to scramble and get all my stuff downloaded because I already had it. And I know y'all ain't been downloading and protecting your content since then. Because y'all forget, and y'all forget quickly, and y'all celebrate too soon. IJS. Okay. The Luminary Path. It is not the time to be in business by yourself. It is time to tap into where you may not have the strength. An actual business mind. So, you know where to find me. You know where to go. You know what to do. I will see you on the next live. Bye-bye.